How likely is it that a young man raised in a poverty-stricken, crime-ridden environment that he himself called Little Beirut would grow up to become the executive vice president of the NFL, an organization overseeing teams worth a total of $359 billion? One would say that's impossible, that it could never happen in America, but it did. Stay tuned. Troy Vincent. What were the foundational stones built in your life?
Well, I was raised in a military family, raised by my grandmother and grandfather. Grandfather Jefferson Vincent was a World War II vet. After World War II, Mom had me as a teenager. He didn't know my dad, so I was raised by my grandfather. So raised by we would just say working principles, do right by people, don't complain, man don't work, man don't eat. Those were the principles and values. Mom dragging me into church. Dragging me into church. And then at the age of 16, I fell in love with Jesus Christ. Changed my life forever.
The significant change point being what? What was the message that you heard? Or was it progressive?
I think it was progressive, and it was an evolution. You know, you're being dragged in, you have to do this. You're wondering why you're sitting in the pew. And then as I matured, as I began to read my word, as I began to embrace worship, praise and worship, then I had that one moment where I made the intentional decision to commit my life to Christ. That was the moment.
16 years of age, grew up in Trenton, New Jersey?
That's what they call it, Little Beirut.
Little Beirut. Elaborate.
Well, Trenton, New Jersey today in 2019 is one of the worst cities to live in the country. Per capita, when you look at household income, you look at crime, gangs. At the time, I'm not complaining, that's not my story, but that was my reality. I didn't know any better. Where if you go into Trenton today, you get off at the Trenton train station, the parking lots gives you one illusion of what the city is, but once you go on the backside of the parking lot, it is living hell. So that was my neighborhood. I learned how to play football. Now the parking lot that is now a parking lot, that just used to be a flat parking lot with nothing but bottles and glass that we used to go out there and play ball.
On that parking lot?
At the parking lot.
With broken glass?
Broken glass. We used to play two-hand touch. So our out of bounds used to be cars because there's no such thing as grass. And then you share a step. So you play on the city street, stop sign was the end zone that would take you into the middle of the traffic light, or a stop sign would take you into an intersection. But the cars that were next to each other used to be out of bounds. So if you hit a car catching the ball, that means you were out of bounds.
What was so good about the experience at Wisconsin? Because you stated, the best 4 years of your life. How and why?
It transformed me. The institution embraced me. Again, coming from Little Beirut, the people who didn't look like me either came into the neighborhood for one or two things, to lock us up or to get drugs. Now I'm living in that environment every day with people that many would say they don't embrace you. It was nothing but love. It was nothing but kindness. The institution, just the values that was instilled were those that I heard from grandfather's voice. Now I'm actually being able to live them out through not just the football program, but the entire institution.
What was happening with your spiritual growth during that period?
Well, I was involved with Athletes in Action. A gentleman by the name of Jeff Pryor who ran campus ministry. So it was a lot of Bible study. It was a lot of just taking in, who am I? And what am I going to be? How am I going to serve the kingdom of God? You know, where am I at today based off of where I was 6-7 months ago? My mindset has always been the same because from high school to college, going into the pros, the sport was a product. It was a byproduct of what God has called all of us to do, to be fruitful, to multiply and replenish the earth. The game just brought greater influence and eyeballs. So the game itself was just a byproduct of, at the end of the day, what are you doing for the least of them? Didn't matter where I was, what I was playing. That was an opportunity to amplify the kingdom of God. So whether I was in Madison, Syracuse, Philadelphia, Miami, Buffalo, or here today in New York at the league office, same God, same mission.
So with respect to that, what is your mission? What you're doing now with respect to these young men?
It's serving them. I'm a servant. It's serving them, knowing what I know now through my life's experience, not wanting anybody to be like me. For me, the goal every day is about, in my atmosphere, the game, how do we serve people? They come from families that have served this nation for decades. Fathers and mothers that are in law enforcement, fathers and mothers and grandfathers and uncles who serve in all branches of the academy, of our armed services. We, as players, we love our country. We're just looking for the people to be the injustices that some of us live in on a daily basis. We want to see some of those things changed.
What are you hoping to leave as a legacy that's consistent with your walk as a man of God?
The balance of, again, you're in a business to generate fandom. At the same time, quality of life for the men that play the game. Being reasonable. So when I walk away, is the game better?
So you may not focus on this right now, but in that vein, what's your highest achievement that you feel you've been blessed with to this point in your young life?
To have healthy kids, a beautiful wife. That's my greatest achievement, and my children respect their dad. They honor their father. That's the greatest achievement.